everything?
We're all good to go.
Thank you. I will call this July 26th, 2020. You were one step ahead of the game there. 2022 meeting of Lawrence County Board of Commissioners to order. Would all please rise? And Shirley, since you were so eager to stand, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And all please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. I saw Gio over there. I wasn't sure if Chris was having to do a little poke around to make sure it was Vanessa, not Chris. Row officer reports and comments. Perry, do you have anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda?
Nothing. Glad to be here.
Good to have you with us. Public comments. Do we have any public comment before the board today?
Run down that.
What do you got, Shirley?
Oh, yes. First of all, Morgan, I want to thank you for doing such a good job.
Oh, thank you.
You're an inspiration to the county. Now, what
I don't know an inspiration for what we might not know.
Yes, you are. So here's what I want to say. I read your comments and your report about what's going on with the economic development. Okay. I'm very upset about it. There has to be some accountability. Anytime you're in charge, there should always be an account of everything, not just the money, but everything. Now, in this case, nobody knows what kind of money we're talking about. No one knows who all's involved. We kind of know who's in charge, but I'm not going to mention any names. But we need to make some changes and quick. And I want to say this, Morgan, you're not going to fight this battle alone.
Well, I appreciate that, Shirley.
Yes,
And I agree with you 100% on changes necessary to the Economic Development Corp. It's a long time coming, and you know, we're starting to see more and more companies leave Lawrence County. Most recently, yesterday with Eccles. You know, we got to do something to reverse the trend.
Look at Shenango out there where I live. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's Lawrence Village Plaza. We don't know how to clean it up.
No. Well, once we get this fiasco taken care of, I think we'll be able to make some changes.
I agree.
People will be coming into the county.
I agree. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in today.
You're
Always,
very welcome.
always good to see you.
Did he pay you?
Karen's
And
doing something.
wait,
I just wanted
I'm
to-
not going to tell you how much.
Okay.
And make sure it's paid today.
Take care of it. Don't you worry. Oh, any other public comments? See it around for none. We'll move on to fiscal and contractual. We have, mercifully, no repository properties on deck for today. We do have one advertisement for bids or proposals here. We might have the actual ad. If we don't, I'll just make note of it. And I think we're voting on a resolution to officially approve it later on in the meeting. But one of the things that the board is starting to spin up is looking at broadband expansion across Lawrence County. And we've identified specific areas of Lawrence County that are either unserved or underserved as it relates to broadband, specifically the southwest portion of Lawrence County near in and around Enid Valley, as well as the portion of Lawrence County in and around McConnell's Mill, and in Shenango and Wilmington Township. Sort of forms a T on Route 376 and Route 208. And so we are issuing an RFP for broadband expansion services. The template itself, we just stole from Washington County, who implemented the same type of RFP and onboarded a consultant about 6 months ago, I think. But our goal is with this RFP to be able to utilize the services of professional companies to identify. We know what areas we're weak in. The question is which areas are low-hanging fruit. In other words, if we spend $500,000 or we're able to acquire $500,000 for broadband expansion, or what area would we be able to onboard the most houses, most businesses with that 500,000? It makes more sense, you know, if you've got 2,000 houses for $500,000, or 500 houses for $500,000. We're going to go with the 2,000 houses just to get the ball rolling there. But we don't have the ability internally to be able to really leverage and assess the data out there to make those determinations. So we're hoping to onboard with a consultant that is more familiar with putting together those what they call polygons for housing and broadband expansion services. Dan, any questions on that? And like I said, we'll be doing a formal a resolution later on in the meeting. No receipt of bid proposals today. We do have warrant registers from July 22, July 20, and July 18. And I'll give my colleague a minute to check that over.
I will move for acceptance of the warrant registers as submitted.
All right, I will second that. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, the minutes from Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. Although we did not have a meeting last week, there wasn't a whole lot of business or contractual contracts we needed to pass. This week is very different, as you will soon see. But again, I'll give Dan a minute to check over those minutes and then take a motion to approve. The reason I noted that is because we won't have minutes from last week.
I'll move for adoption of the minutes.
I will second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have one written communication today. It's an Act 14 notification is required by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. I'll just read the first bit here. The purpose of this notice is to inform you of the intent of Claire Hatcher to submit an application for a new National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System individual permit to discharge sewage effluent from small flow treatment facilities and a new water quality management permit to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for the following. It's an address located at 120 Old Colony Drive, Newcastle, PA 16105 in the Shenango Township. It's a single resident sewage treatment plant to replace a malfunctioning septic system currently serving the existing home. As I always try to note, we don't have approval authority over these permits or permit requests. We're only required to be notified by the requirements set forth in the laws. Unless there's any questions or comments on that, I'll take a motion to approve or accept the final.
Move to accept.
I'll second. We have motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff reports. Tim, I know you have a staff report.
I do.
For us. What do you have? You'll be able to approach the bench.
Thank you. Morning, Commissioners. I'm Tim Germaini, Director of Elections, and I just want to say with the election upcoming, where residents are getting the Voter Participation Center and Center for Voter Information, which is a political advocacy group. They are sending out applications for people to apply for mail-in ballots or to register. I just want to make it clear to the public that we have nothing to do with that. With the increase of that, I've been getting an increase of hate mail, which I have a few examples here. And yesterday, I got one that I had to take to the DA's because it was pretty suspicious. Nothing was happened with it, but I just want to let it know to the public that we will not tolerate any of that.
No, we won't. And I think it's absolutely despicable that people are sending the elections office mail that needs to be referred to the district attorney.
Yes, sir.
It's despicable. It's wrong. You guys in the elections office are professional. You do a phenomenal job at administering the elections.
Thank you.
I've never seen even an element of partisan bias out of your office. The only thing that office, and the only thing when the Board of Elections convenes, that the Board of Elections and the Department of Voter Services is interested in is administering a safe, fair, and accurate election. And we have achieved that consistently over the last however many years, as long as this board's been in existence and into prior boards as well, under both yourself, Director Allison, and directors that came before. I also want to note what they're receiving, what potential voters are receiving from this group. They are not ballots.
That's correct.
And the only entity capable of distributing ballots is us.
That's correct.
So these are just applications for ballots.
That's right. And if you don't want to do it, just simply throw it away.
And the other thing I want to note, let's say a voter receives 5 or 6 of those applications, and they send 5 or 6 applications in.
Yes.
What happens?
They become duplicates, and then we just set the duplicates aside, keep the original one that we've got to make sure that you get your ballot.
But they're only getting one, even if they send in 16 applications, they're getting one ballot.
One ballot. That's right.
Yep.
It flags on our system when you apply for one. So if I see again, well, we already sent you one. So.
Yep.
Yes, but I just wanted to make it clear that there are going to be more of this voter advocacy, these applications coming in the mail. So if you want to do it, that's fine. We'll accept them, but you're kind of wasting your time with all this. So,
The other thing, I'm sure Dan will concur with me on this one, this county will not tolerate any threats towards our staff and the people that are issuing hate mail and issuing potential threats are absolutely despicable.
yes, I agree. But that's all I have to say, gentlemen. Thank you very much for hearing me out.
Before, Dan, do you have any?
No other comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim? All right, any additional staff reports above and beyond what's already on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go on to commissioner reports and comments. Dan, you're on deck.
Well, Mr. Chairman, given the lengthy agenda we have today, I'll hold my comments till next week.
Sounds like I will follow your lead. Seems prudent in this circumstance. All right, we're moving on now. We have a couple resolutions from planning. First on deck, Vanessa, what number is this?
162.
162.
Good morning.
Good morning, Becky. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What do we have going on for 162? This is Hudson Forestry Services.
Yes. This is actually, I believe, a few weeks ago, maybe at the end of June, we had an RFP for our timber harvest. So
At Wicker Falls, right?
at Wicker Falls, yes. So we've selected the highest bidder for our income, which is JM Logging and Lumber LLC. So the actual agreement is with JM Logging and Lumber, even though it's, Hudson Forestry is our forester. So the actual contract is with JM Logging and Lumber. The money has already been received, so we are just kind of going formality wise as far as getting this resolution signed.
Sure.
Okay.
The notice that says whereas the forest manager for services commission of 15%, that's basically how that individual was paid, right?
Correct.
So the forest
Correct.
manager being Hudson, and he did a phenomenal job. I've never seen
Yes.
a thicker pack as it relates to tree clearings in my life. But that was part of that agreement.
That's-
Was
yeah.
there wasn't an upfront charge for him.
No.
He's just receiving a portion of whatever we sell the timber for.
Exactly. And actually, we come in at a good time, actually, because I talked to him just last week and it's starting to fall.
Yeah.
So we did pretty good for what, first time in.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And there'll be more of these, right? I mean, this is
Yes.
year one harvest, and
Yes.
we have that whole plan laid out.
Absolutely.
Dan, any questions?
No questions.
I will take a motion to approve 162.
I'll make that motion.
I will second. The motion is second. Any further discussion during non-question on the motion? Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, we have the competitive CDBG. That'll be 163.
Yes, this is in cooperation again with LCAP. We are proposing a grant that is due August 1st, which is Monday. So as you can see, we're kind of going for the whole thing. The public facilities, that's a collaboration of funding to improve a residential facility to reunite families in CYS. And then the other 3 items are the continuation of our TEAMS program, the emergency assistance with meals for elderly and disabled.
Absolutely. I will note, because Dan, I'm sure you're looking over those, and asking the question of where is Elwood. I popped into LCAP offices for reasons unrelated yesterday. Most of the bullshit was gone. But Elwood still has money in their fund that allows for the Teams program to continue without issue. Elwood, under the Cdbg CV program, which is the emergency COVID dollars through Cdbg, they originally had the bulk of their money designated for business grants. Nobody applied for this. And so as a result, they reallocated it to the teams and their funding teams through.
Yeah,
through
that's
that
the only
program.
reason they're not on there.
And then public facilities is for obviously, maybe not obviously, will be the Fruit Mill Complex to continue their work out there. But all this money needs to be spent at the state level, I believe, by next June, I want to say, by the end of the next fiscal. And so they're just trying, the state's trying to get it out the door, and we're gonna try and take as much of it as we
Right.
possibly can.
Absolutely.
Questions, Dan?
Under number 1, after the therefore, it states the county shall prepare and submit a grant in the projected amount of, and then the dollar amount is listed. Should the word application be there after the word grant? We are applying, are we
Right.
not?
Yes,
I'd like to add the word, if you would
sure,
agree,
no problem.
That's
the word application after the
Yes.
word grant.
Yeah, no issue there.
Thank you. Other than that, I have no other questions.
Anything additional, Becky?
No.
Great. We're gonna continue to chase after as much money as the state and federal governments will give us.
And I'll get that to you.
I'll take a motion for 160.
So moved.
Second, we have motion and second, any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
I gotta skip.
10, 11. We have 12 CYS resolutions.
Yes,
Mike, it's up to you to make my day a good day.
it's gonna be a great day.
Please don't track this out.
I will,
A lot of these, for context, all of these are renewals.
all these are renewals.
Every year, every start of the new fiscal, we have to renew our CYS contract. And so this is one of those ministerial things that comes before us. We've literally passed these contracts in previous
Right.
years.
I have one Seawell, Jessica Crawford, I have 3 in-home providers and 8 placement providers. Now, this includes, in that packet, I give you a 3-year look back of what the rates were and what they're proposing, and everything was approved through the director, approved the rates.
And we have, the state is, obviously we have inflation that's pushing everything, pushing our costs up across the board right now, as it is with everybody. The county's not
Right.
exempt from that. The state has increased its allocation to us in anticipation for that inflationary pressure. That's correct.
But I'll be honest with you, a lot of them were only going up like 3, 0%, 7%, 0%.
So in other words, our negotiators did a good job holding the line regardless of 9% inflation.
Right, yeah. There's a few up there, but a lot, one of them hasn't had an increase in years and years and years. Matter of fact, Crossroads, for example, the rate of the increase looks big. But in theory, they raised it $50 on the girls and $50 on the boys, but they haven't had an increase in a long time. But they're willing to keep the children that are in there now. They're not gonna raise them. Only 80.
What's the cause for the CAC jump?
All right. Behind the CAC, they lost $112,000 grant. There's a little synopsis there,
Oh,
what
okay.
happened behind the
I got
CAC. Got it there? I'll give you a minute to look it over and then. So basically, this is how it's gonna work. I'll kind of give it to you in a nutshell, because I had to, so they lost a federal grant money of $112,000. So CAC gets reimbursed, the county's responsible for 20%, which is $32,000. If you notice, out of the other program, parents as teachers, says $74,000. They're gonna take $32,000 away from that. Now, it doesn't show up now. They're gonna take $32,000 away from that, which is gonna help reduce the load of the 112. Now, we're still gonna fund the 112, but we're gonna do it through two budgets, 22 and 23 of 56,000. And then they're gonna come back and resubmit an amendment to reduce parents as teachers from 74,000 down to 42,000, basically.
What is the total increased cost to the county?
112.
What's the total increased cost to the county?
100. Well, the grant money, the 112, is going to be the.
Yeah, what's the cost, what's the county share?
Well, we're going to fund the 112,000. Do two budgets of 56,000. Now, it's not going to increase their budget. They're going to reallocate funds to make up the difference.
Well, but hang on. So we've got family reunifications increasing, so you got, it's now at 160, 156.
Right.
It was at 48, 156.
Right.
So you're talking $112,000 increase.
Yes.
Minus $32,000 of the moving from parents to teachers.
Right.
So you're talking about an $80,000 increase.
Well, and this is where John's gonna have to explain the difference on that. We're still gonna fund the 112,000.
What do you mean? I don't mean to be like.
No, I know.
Here's what I'd like to do with this one, if it's all right with
Yeah.
Dan, I'd like to talk to John on it, before passing it, just
Yeah.
because that's a significant.
No, and I tried to get it straight, because John obviously been out with
Yeah,
surgery, and I the 32,000, even though they're reducing it, but he's still saying we're funding the 112,000.
not if we say we're not,
And,
because that's still, even with a 20% local share, that's still $16,000 in additional
Right.
monies.
right,
Which I'm fine with, my problem is
Yeah.
the budget,
right.
where are we getting the 16 from?
Well, he's saying that the fiscal says that they can come up, the 56,000 used in the 22 budget and the 56,023 will not increase the budget at all.
Yeah,
Reallocate the money.
I'd like to talk, I wanna know.
No, I agree on that.
Nothing against you at all.
No, I know that. This is the hardest one to
Yeah.
try to explain. And with him being away, I mean, I talked to him on the phone, it was hard for me to, because I didn't negotiate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me,
But everything else, all the other ones were fine.
are you good with waiting a week on that one, Dan?
Yeah, I'm willing to, when we get to it, I'm willing to move to table it.
You know,
But before we move off of that one,
Mm-hmm.
I realize that one would, if I'm correct, that would be 165. We
Correct.
still have 164, but
Yeah.
on the CAC, can you clarify, our resolution indicates that their address is 1211 Wilmington Avenue. I thought they were out in Union Township. Or am I mistaken?
No, CAC is.
Well, on this resolution, it says Children's Advocacy Center of Lawrence County, 1211 Wilmington Avenue. Is that maybe a typo?
is that Jameson?
They're affiliated with Jameson, are they not?
UPMC.
That might be it.
Yeah, what I did is I just got the address from the,
I think Mr. Boyd just answered
yeah,
the
because they're
question.
part of UPMC.
Yeah, that's probably why it's listed as, okay, thank you.
Because what I tried to do is go off the W-9.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the address that I use on the resolution.
that's what it is.
That's good,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you both.
LCAP 44% for safe. What's the increase there? Yeah, but the increase is under 5%. I really.
No, LCAP is 3%, 3%. Yeah, this is that was last year.
That's yep, I got you.
Yeah. So most of them are all in line.
Yep, good there. 7%. And you said Crossroads has received 0% for a number of years. That's the reason for this.
Yeah, and they're willing to, the kids that are already there, they're not gonna charge them the new rate. It's only for new.
Gotcha. Lutheran Services, 15%.
Okay. They were asking 113. Not 113%, 113, the rate.
Okay.
Okay, we come back at 99 something. John come back to 99 and we agreed on 100.
Okay.
So they were asking about $13 more.
How many kids?
Lutheran. CYS at 8.
That's in-home.
No, that,
What is it, institutional?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, that's not a horrible word if it's considered.
yeah.
All right, so with the exception of, unless Dan, you have anything on any of them, 165, which we'll do a table on until next week. Dan, you have any additional questions?
No,
We skipped 164.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Okay,
yeah, I just
we're
wanna
gonna
know,
come
because I'm
back.
trying to, because we're gonna do 164, table 165, and then do a whole, just so we don't have to go through every individual one, if you're a
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
So CAC, right?
Yeah, CAC is the
Yeah,
one that
yeah.
we're on hold on. And I like them, they're great people,
Oh, no,
they're a good
no.
program, I just wanna know where.
John
to
can
get
explain
Yeah.
it a lot better.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that, because again, the budget's tight right now, inflationary pressure and everything.
Right.
I'm fine increasing, I just wanna know where the money's coming from,
Right. Yeah, that's no problem.
so. All right, I'll take a motion for 164.
So move.
Second, we have motion and second, any further discussion, hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you, I'll take a motion to table 165 until next week.
Move to table.
Second, we have motion and second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, tabled that. And then I'll take a motion to approve 166 through 175, which are the remaining CYS resolutions. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I will second that. With motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. All right, so I think we have to dust up is CAC, but I'm sure we can do a good resolution.
Oh, yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
All right, up next.
No.
So that actually wasn't as painful, even with the questions, that wasn't as painful as I thought it was gonna be, so you did a good job. Scott, with MHDS, you're up on deck next, same situation, we've got a number of renewals that we've got.
That'd be much easier. Good job, Mike.
What do you got for us?
These are all renewal contracts for our early intervention program. There is no dollar amounts attached to these, as these are entitlement services, so if you're deemed eligible to receive this, you get it. It's all state and federally reimbursed with no cost to the county. But we do need contracts to connect our residents to these services, so we're here this morning to renew, well, now, if you would like, I can name them quickly and tell you shortly what they do, or however you want me to present them. Since there's no money attached, it's basically us connecting a program to a.
These are all renewals
These are all renewals.
based on the different needs that we see in the community, right?
They're providers from Mercer, Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence. Further exactly at Dan,
That's all right.
I'll default to my office expert.
But none of these are new.
No.
And are you experiencing any difficulties or challenges with any of them?
No, during the year, as a need comes up and we don't have a provider that can meet the need quickly, I'll come over and add a contract here and there during the year, but as for now, no, I don't have any problems.
Here's what we'll do, just so we can get sort of a flavor of the different contracts, and let me just pick three real fast to review. What does Global Wordsmiths do?
It's an interpreter translation service. So if we have a newborn and the family speaks Spanish, we use them to interpret family to the provider. So that's actually a translation service.
Positive Steps Therapy.
They do speech therapy, physical and occupational therapy, and special instruction. So that for people with disabilities, they gain therapy services for it. So
Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. I got a pretty good idea of
Hearing.
that one does.
so this would be hearing testing for people with severe ones that need special instructions.
And again, this is all paid for out of state.
Not a cost to the county, and the state makes us whole at the end of the year, depending on how many referrals we get, which we don't know that at this time. So
And again, all for, it actually ties in well with CYS, it's all for the development of small
it
children.
is all for the development. And there's actually, seeing what the new budget will be, there's
There's a lot of money.
a lot coming our way. I just don't know where it'll be at this point. So
I'll tell you what, I think Mike does a phenomenal job, but I wish CYS cost structure was the same as yours.
we have it.
We've been wishing that for years.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
All right, Dan, unless you have any questions on any of the providers?
No questions.
So I'll take a motion to approve resolutions starting with 176 Achieva to 187 Western PA School for the Deaf.
So moved.
I'll second. We have motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
I apologize. The next couple Tuesdays I'll be contract year, so I'll see you next week.
It is what it is.
We do not meet on the 9th.
Okay, very
We
good.
do meet next week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Flip through all these real fast to get to the Marquette. Bear with me for a moment here. All right, this will be 188. This is our financial consulting services, well, more accurately, investment management for our county pension fund. This is the same company that's always done it. We'll have the same, Sarah Wilson will still be here. The company, they just went through a series of mergers where the names have changed, so we need to update some contracts, just simply as it relates to the names. Everything else will remain constant. There will be no service changes, no interruption in services. This is more ministerial than anything. I'll note that a straw poll of the retirement board found that all members of the board were amenable to this contract, but ultimately contractual authority falls with the Board of Commissioners, and so that we got to take a formal vote to approve this this updated contract.
I will move for resolution 188.
I will second that. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 189. After a year and a half of negotiations, we have an AFSCME contract, which AFSCME represents a number of departments under the commissioners, the most prominent of which would be Children and Youth Services, but they also represent our Mental Health and Developmental Services Department, our Maintenance Department, Tax Claim, Assessment, Veterans, Voters. They represent the controllers and the treasurer's offices. I'm trying to think if there's any other offices. I think I said maintenance. Am I missing any of the offices that's been covered? Yeah. This was a hard and well negotiated. Not to pat myself up, but this contract took some time. Is what I'm trying to say. We went back and forth for months on it. Sticking point was insurance. Thankfully, we came to a resolution on that. It's a contract I think both sides had to give, and neither side is walking away with 100% happy, which in my mind is probably a decent agreement. I'll note that as soon as I can find it here, that wage rates for AFSCME employees. Give me a minute here. It's a big contract. Should be 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/4, but let me. Yep, here it is. 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/4 on the wage rate increases for active employees. For employees who we have yet to hire, in other words, when a position becomes vacant and we onboard a new employee, the base rate increases for positions is 1.25 and 1.375 over the course of the contract 2022 to 2024. This is well under the current rate of inflation, which again helps us keep our costs down and will help us to avoid increasing taxes or cutting other expenditures or laying people off. In 2023, the union was amenable to coming down on that, also recognizing that in previous years they received above the rate of inflation. So this is, this is coming back around on that end. For health insurance, we're moving them from 3% of premium right now to 4%, 5%, and 6%. That was the big sticking point throughout the negotiations. They did not want to increase their insurance premiums at all. It's a brave new world since the 1990s and early 2000s when government employees did not have to pay any portion of the premium. I wish we would have been able to get a little bit higher. I'm sure they wish that they would have been able to keep it at 3%. This was our compromise on that. I'll note that a number of the fringe benefits have been eliminated in this, the most significant of which are vacation payouts at the end of the year, which last year I believe cost the county around $112,000, $119,000 organization-wide. So the AFSCME portion of vacation payouts will no longer be applicable. It also eliminates the sick day payouts, which again, as we saw during COVID, it's an incentive for employees to come to work sick. Which I think we learned is a poor way to structure incentives. So that's eliminated in this. The other item of note is that we've created, and I think this will really help out with CYS retention, is we've created a step ladder for CYS employees as opposed to under the current system. We have 3 caseworker 3s, 5 caseworker 2s, and 10 or 11 caseworker 1s. And under the current system, a caseworker 1 could be working at CYS for 10 years. If caseworker 2 doesn't resign or retire, they're not getting bumped up to a caseworker 2 position. This contract actually allows, after a set period of months, those employees to advance in CYS. It gives them a little bit of a ladder. It gives them something to look forward to, where after 15 months, they move to a caseworker 2 position. And after an additional 15 months, they move to a caseworker 3 position. It's also applicable, I believe, for case screener 1 to case screener 2. Again, the hope there is that you're going to have a number of our caseworker 1s that are willing to stick it out for a little bit longer because they're able to definitively see a timeline where they're going to get a promotion and the accompanying raise for that promotion. So, I'm really hopeful this will help us with some of our CYS retention efforts. Those are sort of the highlights. Dan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
All right. Again, there was a lot of give and take on this one. It took a year and a half to accomplish. There were times where the debate was heated. There were times where we walked in with requests that AFSCME accepted that we weren't expecting they would accept. There were times that AFSCME walked in with requests that we weren't expecting that they would make. For example, increasing the probationary time period from 90 days to 180 days, which is reflected in this contract. They actually made that request because they felt that it was better for specifically for children and youth services to have an understanding of, number one, whether that employee wanted that specific job track, or number two, whether we thought at the county level and at the supervisory level up at CYS that person may be a good fit for that position. But I have a copy of it here. Anybody that wants a copy would be happy to distribute it afterwards. Debbie, Nick, if you guys want. In fact, Vanessa, if you just be able to send a copy to Debbie and Nick, that way they're gonna ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll move.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, and that puts that saga to bed. Up next, 190. I'm not going to go over this in depth. We sort of did at the very beginning. This is the resolution to officially submit a request for proposals for broadband services. Any questions on that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, the anticipated expenditures we're hoping will be covered through American Rescue Plan.
They all will be, yes.
I'll move for resolution 190.
I'll second that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 191. This is a budget amendment. Again, we're sort of coming to the end of we came to the end of the year as it relates to mental health and developmental services. Their accounts fluctuate based on the need of our community. And so they're just moving some money around to accommodate. There were a little less ID community, or a little more ID community services needed, and we got more ID-based funding to account for those services. So net neutral to the budget. And I'll take a motion to approve 191. Let's
So
go. Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 192, we received an additional allocation from the ERAP program. That's the Emergency Rental Assistance Program the federal government came down with during COVID. Some other counties didn't expend some of their funds, and the state determined there was some additional need in Lawrence County for rental relief for COVID-19 related instances. So this is just increasing the revenue fund for that program by the additional allocation made by the state and increasing the accompanying expense fund for the new ERAP funding. Unless there are any questions on that, Dan, I'll take a motion for 192.
I'll make that motion.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have a number of administrative transfers. Jail, $2,000 from the contingency fund to the travel and training fund for the jail. The board has been sending some more people down to some trainings. And so that the move from their contingency fund to the county, to their travel and training will help accommodate the additional training of our new fully staffed jail, fully staffed for the first time, thanks to the efforts of Board Molmeister and Director King. Magisterial District Court for Rick Russo, moving from his contingency to his maintenance to cover some additional funds out of the maintenance. Also, Rick moving $1,200 from contingency to materials and supplies. They're ordering new transitionary materials for the office move. I know Rick's probably too excited about that. But this is new letterhead, new envelopes, business cards, address stamps, etc., with a new office address on it. Court, $7,000 from their contingency to jurors. We've had some more trials this year than we were anticipating, and as a result of that, we're moving some money from the court contingency into there. Court contingency, $10,000 from their contingency to materials and supplies. Again, they're expending a significant amount of materials and supplies up there. They have it in their contingency. I made sure that it was in their contingency. So they're flexing their money to accommodate some additional material and supplies purchases. MHDS, some telephone and internet expenses were higher than anticipated. So MHDS is moving some money from their contingency account to telephone and internet, get them through the rest of the year. And that's what we have there. Dan, any questions on this?
No questions, no, sir.
I will take a motion to approve administrative transfers A through F.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. We have motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll continue to table 141 for the time being, unless you have any objection to that. No ordinance on the table for introduction for final action. Next commissioners meeting will be Tuesday, or August 2nd, 2022 at 10 a.m. in this room. Dan, as you noted, we won't be here the week after as you, Loretta, and Joe will be at CCAP. I'm gonna hang back and do everything in my power to not burn the place down. Planning Commission meeting on Wednesday, August 10th in the Shenango Township Municipal Building. And this is the first announcement. There is an opening on the Lawrence County Airport Authority. I do believe we'll probably receive a resubmittal for that, just based on my conversations with Chairman Ferris. Any additional public comments?
No, Dan, I would like to thank you for everything you do. You do a very good job. And Morgan, until we get to the bottom of it, we will
Oh, don't you worry,
We
Shirley.
will be working.
We're gonna keep fighting. Don't you worry.
We sure are. We sure are.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, I will adjourn the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. All in all, for everything we have.
You did very well. Very well. There you go. It's official. Oh, and then speaking of buttons,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're still on the,
Before I say something that'll get us sued.
those things in the banking world.